Good evening, and welcome to the Tweeds County Board of Education meeting. Thank you to our in-person and online communities and stakeholders for joining us this evening. It is my pleasure to call the Tweeds County Board of Education meeting to order. Today is Thursday, August 19th, 2021, and the time is 5:38 p.m. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Age bring about a change. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting, Thursday, August 19th, 2021.
So moved.
Motion's been properly made by Ms. King. May I have a second?
Second motion.
Seconded by Vice Chair Rouse. Any discussion? Are you ready for the question? Again, this motion is to approve tonight's agenda, Thursday, August 19th, 2021. There's no discussion. I know you by saying aye, raising your hand if you're in favor of this motion.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposes? No opposes. That motion carries unanimously. We have successfully approved our agenda for tonight's meeting. At this time, may we approve the minutes of our August 10th, 2021 BOE regular session. Board members, I give you a quick moment to look at those minutes. Board members, have you had enough time? All right. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve our August 10th, 2021 BOE regular session minutes.
Yeah, I make that motion.
Motion's been properly made by Vice Chair Rouse. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by District 3, Ms. King. Any discussion? No discussion. I know you by saying aye, raising your hand if you approve these motion.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposes? No opposes. That motion carries unanimously. We have successfully accepted and approved our minutes from our BOE regular session, August 10th, 2021. At this time, we'll have an ethics statement, and I will attempt to do this ethics statement in Ms. Blackshear's absence. Does any board member see any conflict of interest on our agenda approved for tonight's meeting?
No.
Seeing none, we may proceed. At this time, we have board member comments and remarks. We'll We'll start at District 1. Mr. Rouse.
No comment, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rouse. District 3.
No comment.
Thank you, Ms. King. District 4. Thank you, Ms. Stokes. Superintendent's comments and remarks. Dr. Matt Bullard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Good evening, board members, Vice Chair Rouse, all of our community members, those in person and those who are virtual. Again, we want to thank all of our community members. We want to thank our administrators, central office, and school. We want to thank our bus drivers, our school nutrition team, our maintenance team, our technology department. We want to thank our parents, guardians, all of our community members for a wonderful first 2 weeks of school. We have had a great opening of school thus far, and we know that it is because we are partnering together and working hand in hand in order to accomplish that goal. It does not just happen. It happens through a lot of hard work and coordination. I want to thank everyone for your hard work and participation. We want to continue to be vigilant in our COVID-19 practices, as we know and were shared with on our last board meeting by Mrs. Timms, that the COVID-19, the variant, is growing and spreading across the country, including Georgia, and yes, even in our own Twiggs County community. We noticed and have experienced some COVID-19 positive cases as well with students, and we've contacted you as parents and school members as well to make sure you know when individuals were positive or close contacts. We're going to continue with implementing those protocols, make sure that you are aware. We want to make sure that students and parents and community members, even when you are away from school, continue to wear your mask. When you are within 6 feet of others, continue to wash your hands, continue to practice social distancing as well. It's very important that if you feel sick or if your child feels sick, keep them at home. Don't send your child to school if they're feeling sick. That puts them and others at risk. And when you have an opportunity, take them to their physician and make sure that they have not contracted the virus. We want to keep all of our students, we want to keep our staff safe. And the way that we do that is, again, continuing to work together. I'm going to strongly encourage all of our parents and guardians and community members, if you have not been vaccinated, it is one of the most safest ways for us to prevent the spread of this virus. And we are also going to take advantage of the opportunity to let you give consent for your children who are 12-year-old and older to be vaccinated as well when the Pfizer vaccine comes to Twiggs County. Our health department has agreed to partner with us. If you give consent, we can provide a vaccine clinic right here in our school district after the school hours or even on a Saturday morning. So please help us to keep your students, our staff, keep us all safe, practice those COVID guidelines, those CDC guidelines that we're practicing. And again, we'll continue to be successful together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bullard. This time, we will proceed into our business agenda. Business agenda item A, adoption of 2021 tax millage rate rollback of 16.59. This is an action item being presented by our CFO, Assistant Superintendent, Mr. James Austin. Good evening, Mr. Austin.
Good evening. Board Chair, Vice Chair, board members, Superintendent Dr. Bullard, constituents of the community in person and virtually. Tonight, we will be adopting the 2021 tax millage rate at the rollback rate of 16.59. But before I get into the presentation, I'd like to remind y'all of who we are. We are a district that has a vision, generating excellence, one team, one goal, and a purpose, which is to inspire, challenge, and prepare all students to compete globally. Every year, we have the task legally and a fiscal responsibility to approve our tax millage rate. What you see before you is required by law for us to advertise 5 years of our tax history, including the current year. If you look at 2016, which is the second column, you will notice toward the bottom, which is the second number from the bottom, 16.6. And if you follow that across to 2021, you will notice that our tax millage rate has been consistent over the past 6 years. In that consistency, we look at the very bottom, and the heading will be net taxes percent increase, 2017.94 at the very bottom. In the third column, you will notice, and going across again, that it has been positive trajectory every year in our tax increase as far as our millage rate and what that generates per mill and also for our property value. So it's safe to say that we've had a great history of property tax, and this has given us the opportunity to continue to build fiscal responsibility and the capacity to educate our students at Twiggs County Public Schools. If you look on the next slide, the rollback rate. You notice in the heading of the presentation, I mentioned a rollback of 16.59. And we have talked about it being consistent at 16.6. We're doing the assessment process and the reassessment of our current property value. If you look, the third column where it says reassessment of existing real prop, which stands for property. In the third column in the middle, you will notice a $93,193 figure. This figure illustrates that upon reassessment of our property taxes, it was noticed that this amount of money or value was left on the table and not included in our original calculation. For that reason, once it was included, it pushed our tax millage rate above 16.6. In addition to that, we also have a new property that was assessed, which was the solar farm, I believe, on Highway 129. It was assessed in this particular tax year. And that alone also gave us a lot more value to realize in our tax assessment, which shows the 6.63 increase that we've seen. If you remember the history, that's the largest increase we've seen over the past 6 years. And that's partly because of the solar plant or farm that's in that area. So with those two factors, we had to roll back the rate. And what that means is instead of us increasing the tax rate based on the value, we roll it back below 16.6, so it's not a tax increase, and we still get majority of really 98% of the original value that we once assessed. And according to the research behind this, it's only $3,000 less than what we originally have received. So it's not nothing that we're really missing this projection. We have a legal obligation as well to advertise in our legal organ, which is the Twiggs Times, or in this case, the Times Journal-Post, as we see. And we have to run this advertisement in the legal organ for 7 days. If you look at the top right of the rectangle shape at the top, you will notice that the date is Thursday, August 12th, 2021, and today's date is August 19th, 2021. We have successfully met our legal obligation, and it has been advertised for 7 days. At the bottom, what the newspaper will call as a teardrop is an excerpt from the newspaper. You will see our actual advertisement along with the commissioner's advertisement as well. We meet at 5:30 to approve the tax digest with the millage rate because our approval has to happen first, and then the commissioner will approve theirs at 6 o'clock. The reason we're meeting at 5:30 on tonight. Are there any questions, comments, concerns about the millage rate?
Board members, we've heard Mr. Austin's presentation of the adoption of the 2021 tax millage rate. 16.59. This is an action item. Do we have any questions for Mr. Austin? Seeing none, board, what is your pleasure?
I make that motion to approve the millage rate rollback of 16.93. I'm sorry, 16.59.
Motion has been properly made by Ms. Blackshear and seconded by Ms. King. Any discussion? No discussion. I know your approval of this motion by saying aye, raising your hand. Aye. Any opposes? No opposes. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Austin. We'll move expeditiously through your next presentation so that you can make the commissioners' meeting in a timely manner. Business agenda item B.
Yes, sir. So Kelly Education Services, we had this presentation on last board meeting, and I'll briefly go over what Kelly Education Service will be providing to the district. In news, it has been seen that there are labor shortages, and specifically, education has seen shortages in substitutes and teachers. This provides us an opportunity to partner with the company that has been leading for decades in this industry and has supported a plethora of districts feel those type of obligations. One of the things that Keller Service will provide a value add to us is to actually replace the recruiting process that we will have. So they'll actually go out and recruit the substitutes, take them through a thorough background check, ensure they're properly trained. For each content area they'll be filling in for the teacher. Also, our fill rate will increase as well, because they'll give us about 4 to 5 teachers, subs per teacher. So this improves our fill rate drastically. In addition, they provide an opportunity for benefits for our subs, and this gives the opportunity as well to have another value add and weekly pay. What we have determined through our research, as we look at slide 14 on a local pay rate analysis, is that we do have comparisons to other districts, and we noticed that from districts in our region, which like Houston and Bibb County, we're not performing on par. We do notice that we need to perform additional studies as well to include our smaller districts and really compare to see where we are as far as in the market, because we want to ensure that we're very competitive in our market as well. So we'll come forth and ensure that these rates make sense for our substitutes. Are there any questions, comments, concerns about Kelly Education Services?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If this is approved tonight, when will the services begin? What the process would be at that point?
Yes, ma'am. From that point, we'll be in touch with our consultant. She'll provide us a timeline of implementation. There will be a few weeks that we need to actually set up the platform called Frontline. Frontline is the platform that is used for our teachers, secretaries to request subs, and this is where they maintain their records. So there will be a period of implementation and training that happens with that. But once we get to the point of rolling that process out, communication will be made on when exactly we can start utilizing that system. But we have to work with the consultant to get a realistic timeline. Yes, ma'am. But it's normally between 4 to 6 weeks from the last conversation we had. But we'll verify that that remains the same after we go through our considerations. Yes, ma'am.
One other question.
Yes, ma'am.
As far as the other substitute teachers that we had in the past, how would that fall into place? Would they all go to the Kelly Services at that time, or how would that work?
That's a great question. Our current substitutes will have the option to participate with Kelly Education if they choose, and they will have all the other opportunities as well. They do not have to take any other job opportunities they would so desire. We do believe our current subs are very loyal to our district, and they will remain with us. This just provides an opportunity, especially in COVID, to receive benefits and also to have more support for training and things of that nature. So I do believe it'll be a value add to them, so they'll benefit from that with Kelly Education. Yes, ma'am.
When you say you will have this, Mr. Chair, will you have some more information as far as the smaller district?
Yes, sir. We do plan to make that presentation in September to actually show if we do increase the rate for our subs, and we'll bring that data to support if we do decide to go that direction based upon the research. But as of right now, if Keller serves is implemented before that board meeting, we will still pay based on our current rates.
And did I miss, what was the cost of this?
The consultant doesn't have a direct cost. If we go to slide 15, there's a district managed versus Kelly managed cost comparison. Their cost realization is about taking what we would do administratively for recruiting, training, and offset that cost. So what it takes for myself, an HR director, staff to do the work, Keller Service will be replacing that work. So it won't be a cost to pay the consultant, it's for the overall program. And we'll realize a cost savings with this approach because we do not have to pay all those additional fees for staff to do the work. So we'll redirect that labor to other functions of the district. And based upon this, I'll give you an example. The district management program will cost us $92,707. But if Keller Service will perform that, it'll be $83,722. So they base theirs upon what we can save you and what we can offset. That's the way their cost is structured. There's a small markup fee, 1.36. That fee is on top of the rate that we pay the actual sub. So in that would be their fee, that 1.36 on top of the rate. That's how they actually get paid.
That's not included in 83.
That does make up that number. Yes, sir. That's in the chart to the far right. That's in white, the rectangular shape. You'll see the markup 1.36. And it's a description saying that this is a comparison of cost, and that is for the actual payroll side of it.
This question is for the board. Board members, looking at Kelly Services, the original presentation was sufficient in sharing what the company offered. But I want to ask you this question as it has come to some further conversation about implementing Kelly Services in our district. Even if we approve tonight, would it be a fair question or idea to say if we saw the cost analysis over the past 3 to 5 years and what we spent in substitute pay, would that help in some sense of the funding range that we look at for this opportunity? All right, thank you, board members. As we want to be as transparent as possible. Board members, you've heard the presentation from Assistant Superintendent, Mr. James Austin. What is your pleasure? And in stating what is your pleasure, those numbers, that 3 to 5 year cost analysis for our substitutes will be presented to you at our next board meeting.
I would like to say if we can table until we get that at the next board meeting, would that be?
That is your pleasure.
That's what I motion that we table till we get all the information at the next board meeting.
There's a motion by Ms. Blackshear that we table accepting the approval of Kelly Services, Educational Services. May I have a second?
I second.
A second by Ms. King. Is there any discussion? All right.
$70 per day. Yes. We provided them that information. Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion? All right. Again, this motion is to table the approval of Kelly Services, and as we table that board meeting date, Dr. Bullard, is August
31st.
August 31st. This motion is to table the approval of Kelly Educational Service into our August 31st, 2021 board meeting. And properly motioned and second with further discussion. With no further discussion, I'll know you by saying aye or raising your hand if you approve the motion. Any opposes? No opposes. That motion carries unanimously. We have successfully tabled the approval of Kelly Educational Service until our August 31st, 2021 board meeting. Thank you, Mr. Austin. Business agenda item C, approval of proximity learning. This is an action item being presented by our superintendent, Dr. Mac Bullard.
Good evening, Board Chair Harris,
Good
Vice Chair
evening.
Rouse, board members, community members in person and those virtual. Good evening again, and we're excited to bring this partnership opportunity to the board for consideration of our school district partnership with Proximity Learning. Proximity Learning partnership will certainly support our school district's vision, which is to generate excellence. One team, one goal. And it would also support the school district's mission of inspiring, challenging, and preparing all of our students to compete globally. Proximity Learning, as I presented to you on last week, is a company that provides virtual teachers in any and all content areas in order to provide equity to students who may be in a classroom that has a substitute or a vacancy without a teacher in that content area. They provide that virtual instructor to ensure that all students have an opportunity to be educated by a highly trained, highly experienced teacher. Here in Twiggs County, just as across the nation, there are teacher vacancies that exist. And this was the trajectory of vacancies, as you see over the last 3 years nationwide. There are expected to be over 500,000 teacher vacancies across the country. We currently have 5 vacancies in our school district, which is a part of that nationwide vacancy list. By partnering with Proximity Learning, we would be able to, again, provide our students with a live teacher who is highly trained in the content area, Georgia certified. They'll become the teacher of record for our students. And we would also have that teacher available to work with our parents, our guardians, who have questions about their children's learning. When we have parent nights, they'll also be able to participate virtually with parents who are interested in speaking about their children's performance in a very deep manner. And we'll be able to utilize those teachers in different environments, whether that be a full-time teacher who will teach the same content all day, or maybe one period of the day where we could not identify a teacher to teach a subject possibly that our students were interested in. And I used as an example last week, Latin. All proximity learning teachers meet a certain criteria, and they are at least master's degreed in the content area that they're teaching. They have at least 5 or more years of teaching experience. They will be Georgia and federally background checked, just as we do here in our school district. And they are proven teachers and proven educators and have Georgia teacher certificates in the content areas that they're teaching. Again, these teachers, when we take a look at the teachers' performance over the last 2 years, there was a study done with the performance levels of the students in various subjects of proximity learning teachers. And you see here that in those subject areas that they taught, the students were able to perform on their assessments at a level 3, which is proficient, or level 4, which is distinguished level, at 80% or higher with the proximity learning teacher. We're very excited about that and that data that was conducted, again, with these teachers. This program and these teachers and company has been endorsed by Cognia, which used to be called Advanced Ed, which is our accrediting agency, as well as NCAA, which is the college association as well. Because again, many students in college also have virtual educators, and if we're going to prepare our students to be college and career ready, you probably have already experienced virtual education on your job. You've probably been parts of many Zoom meetings and Zoom calls, and many students in college, students in secondary school, and students in elementary school experience their education virtually. So if we're going to prepare our students, having virtual instruction is going to be a part of their future for a long time. Proximity learning is in school districts across the country, some very large school districts, as large as Chicago Public Schools, and even here in the South, school districts which are neighbors to us right there in Bibb County Schools as well. The thing that's beautiful about partnering with Proximity is that we will be able to use those teachers in a customized fashion. Again, when students want to take courses, we struggle, and when I say we as educators in general struggle to find teachers who are certified in the areas that the students want to take courses. So often, we aren't able to offer some courses to students because we don't have someone in that background or with that certification. With proximity learning, we can remove that barrier. We actually can provide a course that maybe only 10 or 12 students, 15 students in our school are eligible to take. Let's say here in our high school, we can utilize a proximity learning teacher in order to provide that instruction for them. Also, proximity will assist us in training that paraprofessional or that facilitator that we put in the classroom to be that person in the classroom to actually monitor the classroom and the students while the instruction is ongoing. They are also there to work with students who have special needs and an IEP to ensure that those accommodations and modifications are made for those students at the same time. Again, I already stated they are available to participate in Parent Night, and they're also following the district's grading policy that we set in place at the beginning of the school year. Again, this is a very, very flexible partnership. We can utilize these proximity teachers 1 period of the day, 2 periods of the day, 5 periods of the day, 5 days a week, 1 day a week. it depends on what our schedule is and what our needs are. We also can hire a teacher to simply teach one content area, potentially, and I use the example again, Latin. We can utilize that teacher to teach Latin 5 periods of the day. Or we can get a proximity learning teacher to teach various subjects each period of the day based on what our current needs are. If we have a student in middle school and a student in high school who are eligible to take the same subject, we can also patch both of those schools and sets of students into that classroom so that they can be taught at the same time. So again, it doesn't matter the thematic approach or the course that the student needs to take. They can teach a core course. They can teach credit recovery for us. They can teach a world language course or even an advanced placement course. It's based on what our needs are. And that's the beauty of this partnership. They have teachers around the country who are eligible to teach any of those subjects that we may need currently for our students. What will we have to put in place? We'd have to, of course, meet the computing requirements. And we are fortunate that we have the device of choice. Proximity Learning prefers Chromebooks, and that is the student device that all of our students will be assigned, which is the Chromebook, and the Chromebook does have the camera already on it. You don't have to buy an exterior camera. It already has the camera on it, and Proximity Learning will provide each of those students a set of earbuds to block out all of the ambient noise so that when the students are in their classroom, they can focus directly on the teacher, and the teacher can focus directly on them, as well as their facilitator. The process to prepare is that we would provide Proximity with the class roster of students. For example, high school biology. We provide them with the students' names who are taking biology for the year. We'll tell them what period they're taking that. We'll give them the bell schedule. We'll tell them what weights we want those teachers to assign for homework, what weights we want them to assign for tests, what weights we want them to assign for any projects. That's how they'll build their report cards for the classroom. Also, we'll tell them what periods of the day, and they'll follow our bell schedule and the curriculum. If we have specific curriculum, for example, we just purchased iReady. If we have some specific curriculum for the subject that we want them to teach, they'll teach our curriculum. If we don't have specific curriculum, because these are Georgia certified teachers, Proximity Learning already has curriculum for every subject in Georgia for those teachers to teach, and they'll work directly with our teaching and learning department to ensure that the modules that they have are the modules that we want them to teach. So once we get all of that information together, we'll provide that to them. Typically, if we work in an adequate amount of speed and can provide that to them within a week's time, Proximity Learning is then able in the next week to work with our technology department and work out any technical glitches, get the paraprofessional or facilitator trained. Once they get the paraprofessional facilitator trained, they'll get an opportunity as well to meet that Proximity Learning teacher. And if we wanted to schedule a meeting with those teachers and the parents, so the parents get to meet the online teacher, we can schedule that as well. So let's say if we wanted to schedule on a Wednesday night before they started class to have a chance for parents to log on and meet their child's, in this, for example, their Latin teacher. Parents will have an opportunity to do that, meet their child's teacher, ask questions, et cetera, just as we did with Open House. That teacher would be available to meet with parents before the class got started. After such doing so, they're doing that last week. Proximity will be assisting and training that paraprofessional or that facilitator that we put in the classroom. They'll work with us to train that individual. We'll identify who that person is. They'll work with us training with that person. That person will get a chance to get contact numbers, et cetera, with the virtual teacher, and they'll begin building their relationship as well. And that paraprofessional and facilitator will plan those lessons with that proximity learning virtual teacher. They'll know exactly what is supposed to be taught every day. The lesson plans will be developed. So that in the event we do have any glitches with technology, that in-classroom facilitator or parapro can continue seamlessly with the instruction until that technical glitch has been repaired and the proximity learning teacher can come back into the classroom virtually. They'll also work with our school and our academic coach, and I'm sure that's going to be the person that says data clerk there, but it'll probably be the academic coach who will be downloading the grades from the proximity learning platform, which they use Canvas. We use Infinite Campus. So they'll download from Canvas the grades of the student that are collected every day so that we can then import them into Infinite Campus. So that'll end up probably being our academic coaches who will do that work so that our students can have their report cards ready at the same time as all of our other scholars on the campus. Again, the tech support is available every day, typically 20 seconds or less in terms of wait time. We have a fantastic instructional technology department. I've just not experienced any issues with the technology, especially since we have Chromebooks. That's the major issue. Sometimes the platforms don't work well together, but because we have Chromebooks, I've not seen any problems in my previous district working with proximity learning and technical issues. Again, our students aren't unfamiliar with working with a virtual teacher. Matter of fact, we have elementary students right now in our JES who are working with teachers virtually. Teachers were out for one reason or another, but they still taught their classes virtually by piping into the classroom. And what you see there on that slide with the teacher there in the blue, seeing their students face to face, engaging with the students, talking to the students talking back. That is the very setup that our students are accustomed to. That's what they would see as well in the classrooms that we hired a proximity teacher. On the next slide, we talked about last week what the cost factors look like. We could hire a proximity learning teacher for the year. That's actually the cheapest way to do it. Or we could hire a proximity learning teacher for the semester. That's the next cheapest. Or we can hire a proximity learning teacher by the month, pay on a month-to-month basis. That's the most expensive way. But because we are intentionally recruiting right now and trying to identify a teacher to be face-to-face in our classroom long-term, we want to go on the month-to-month basis. So in the event we find a teacher, for example, I use biology. In the events we find our biology teacher that we're looking for in our recruitment, and we've contracted with a proximity learning teacher for a month, and we find that teacher in October, for example, then the proximity contract for that virtual teacher will end at the end of October. And if there are time, let's say a week or two remaining in the month, that proximity teacher will remain on board and help with transitioning with the new teacher that we hired, so that the proximity teacher can converse with our new teacher on where the students are, where they are in the curriculum, what they've learned about the students, their skills, their personalities, their interests. That opportunity for transition will be there. Again, when you look at the comparison in cost of our master's degree teachers, and I gave you an example there, 7-year experienced master's degree teacher, $51,444 versus a proximity learning teacher who has 5 or more years of experience, that for annual cost would be $66,965. We actually would experience a cost savings if we kept the proximity teacher all year, because we don't have to pay that teacher TRS, which is 19.81% of their salary. We do not have to pay that, nor do we have to pay that teacher the $11,000+ in terms of health and medical benefits. So actually, we pay more for our teachers. in an annual cost because we have to pay TRS and because we do pay $945 per month for all of our employees for health and medical benefits. So proximity learning would actually create a small savings for us if we kept that teacher all year. We don't plan on doing that. We're going to put them on a month-to-month basis. And one other thing that we love about this partnership, love about this partnership, is that because of the pandemic, you all know, every parent that is listening to me knows that our students suffered learning loss. They simply did not learn and get as much as they would have in a face-to-face setting doing virtual learning. They just did, my children included. However, we can utilize our proximity teachers as tutors as well. We could actually identify students who have specific learning loss in particular areas, and we can actually utilize a certified proximity learning teacher to extend the learning day and provide tutoring for those students in particular areas. One of the models is by giving a proximity learning teacher 3 students, and we could pay that proximity learning teacher $50 per hour to tutor up to 3 students in a content area that is needed. Or we could pay a proximity learning teacher, we can pay $1,000 per month for a teacher to teach students up to 10 students and provide high dosage tutoring as well for students that we determine where a need is. And we already know that there are needs that our students have that simply the teacher cannot fulfill all of what they need during the school day. We know they need more time, such as an after-school program or an after-school learning time to extend that time for learning. We could utilize proximity content certified teachers to provide that as a service for our students. What a wonderful opportunity for us to have that as a potential partnership and to close the learning loss for our kids. We're excited about this potential opportunity, and this is the person's name, Mr. Jim Frenchek, who is our representative who will be representing the company and helping us get everything set up. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those questions for you at this time.
I just have one.
Yes,
If we
ma'am.
have a teacher that's in the room, that's doing the virtual, if she's the teacher that's not inspiring and encouraging, engaging our kids, they're just not getting it with this teacher.
We can change.
What would we do?
If we can change the teacher.
We can change.
Yes, ma'am. We can change the teacher. If we found that the kids simply weren't making that connection with that teacher, we can ask and get a different teacher. That would be no problem. We would, and in that case, I haven't experienced it, but we could certainly make that shift. I would shift it at the end of the month, where we would get an opportunity to give us a chance to meet the new teacher, potentially Dr. Griffin Stewart, to meet the new teacher, and to talk about maybe what some of the barriers were. But we can switch those teachers because they don't just have one. They have many of them who are certified in those particular concepts. So we don't have to keep a teacher who's just not making that connection with our kids. We can find the teacher that is making the connection.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You stated earlier that there was like 5 vacancies.
We do.
School. So my question to you is, if we were to approve this proximity learning,
Yes, ma'am.
what would be your vision as to how we would implement those as far as the hours or the days a week and all that? Could you-
Absolutely. We have that structure. If you could go back to that slide, Mr. Bassett, the one that has the 2 different types of teachers on it, the custom proximity learning solution. Slide that has the green teacher and that has the orange teacher. That one, yes. Yes, that one. So what we currently have is the teacher on the left, the green teacher. We have the teacher who will be teaching the same content throughout the whole day. Okay, that's what we currently have. And with our 5, actually, I think we may be closer to 4 vacancies. We've already interviewed somebody that I think we're going to offer a position to, but right now, it's 5. So that teacher would teach those 5 periods of the day. So that's how we would do it. We would identify the long-term substitute or the paraprofessional that we hire to go into the classroom. 9 times out of 10, it would be a long-term substitute, because once we hire the new teacher, we'll have some transition time, and then that new teacher will just take over the classroom and move right ahead with the learning. So this is the vision. 5 classrooms. We would identify the proximity learning teacher with that content background. We will select that proximity learning teacher for each of those classes. That teacher will then get a chance to meet our long-term substitute. They'll get a chance to start talking about, okay, this is the first week lesson plan, and they'll plan that together. The kids are still in the classroom, coming every day. Okay, they're coming every day. We'll give an opportunity for parents to have maybe a Wednesday night meet the teacher meeting. We'll set it up, we'll say from 6 until 8:30. Parents can come in and log on and meet the new virtual teacher for that particular class. So we'll say we're planning on starting the teacher in a week. But we wanted to give parents a chance to meet their child's new virtual teacher. So they'll be able to meet the teacher get a chance to introduce themselves, talk about their experience, just like any open house. Okay? And then in that following week, the kids will come into the classroom. They already know the long-term substitute. The long-term sub would have already been there. Now they'll have their Chromebooks, and they'll come in and they'll log on. They already know how to log on. They'll get a chance to meet their new virtual teacher. Virtual teacher introduce themselves, so we're going to continue with having a great experience. They'll continue doing their instruction. We are going to continue to recruit, interview candidates, and while we're out there recruiting, that virtual teacher, that long-term sub is in the classroom every day with our students. When we identify the teacher that we want to hire face-to-face, we'll then bring that teacher in. We'll release the long-term sub. Okay? We'll bring the teacher that we just hired in, let the virtual teacher still teach, and now the new teacher and the virtual teacher are going to be teaching together for a period of time for transition. Then once we get to the end of the month, or even if we wanted to take it another month, and I doubt we take it that long. I can only see probably 2 weeks of transition. But once we do that, we'll cut the virtual teacher off, and now our new teacher is there with our kids to continue the instruction. That's the vision, and that works. I've done that before. It does work. I have had situations where we didn't find a teacher as well, and the virtual teacher remained all year. I've actually had situations where the principal says, Dr. Bullard, I don't want to hire anybody else. The virtual teacher is doing so well, and the kids like them so much, I don't want to hire somebody else. Can we just keep them all year? If we did that, proximity learning would take us from the month-to-month pay down to the yearly cost, which is less. But I've had that experience happen as well. That actually happened at an alternative school in 2 math classes. That's coming to mind. The students liked the teacher so much, and she was doing so well, they didn't even want to hire somebody else. They said, this is going well. Let's just keep the virtual teacher for the rest of the year. We moved from the month-to-month contract to a yearly contract with those 2 teachers. But our plan is, again, continue to recruit, find that best fit teacher to bring into the classroom, and then phase out the proximity teacher. We hope to do that as soon as possible.
So we're looking at the month cost $1,259 per month for 5, possibly 5 virtual teachers.
That's right.
And then if that won't work out, we'll go switch to the yearly contract.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other question? That was a good question.
Board members, have you exhausted your questions for Dr. Bullard? All right. At this time, I'll ask Superintendent Bullard, what is his recommendation?
Mr. Chair, our recommendation is that the board approve the school district to move forward with establishing the proximity learning partnership to utilize the month-to-month contracting for our proximity learning teachers at this time, understanding that we are still recruiting and planning on identifying a face-to-face teacher for our students. Right now, we are looking at potentially hiring 5 proximity learning teachers.
Board members, you've heard Superintendent Bullard's recommendation for the approval of proximity learning. This is an action item tonight. What is your pleasure?
I motion that we approve the proximity learning, so we can get the 5 teachers that we need month to month.
Second.
Motion's been properly made by Ms. King and second by Ms. Batshare. Any discussion? No discussion. I know you by saying aye. Raise your hand if you approve this motion.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposes? One oppose. Motion carries 4-1. Thank you, Dr. Bullard.
You're welcome.
All right. Business agenda item D, approval of interns as teachers. This presentation and action item is being presented again by our superintendent, Dr. Matt Bullard. Dr. Bullard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Vice Chair, board members, community members, again, I'm excited to present this innovative partnership to help develop quality teachers, the Interns as Teachers program. And again, this is another innovative program that will assist us in developing great teachers for our students right here in Twiggs County. It does support our vision, which is to generate excellence. One team, one goal, and it supports our mission of inspiring, challenging, and preparing all of our students to compete globally. Interns Teachers is just that. It's an innovative partnership to develop highly performing interns into quality teachers. And we will, with your approval of the program, work with these colleges, Fort Valley State, Mercer University, Middle Georgia State, Wesleyan, Georgia College and State University, Gordon State, Georgia Southern, and Albany State University to identify high-quality interns at these colleges. And these interns will come to Twiggs County, work inside of our classrooms as interns. And our goal is to recruit and keep them as quality teachers here in the school district. And I have already established partnerships in other districts with these colleges, so they are very familiar with this program. And we've already identified interns from these programs. There are none that are new, with the exception of Georgia Southern. I've not made a direct intern hire from Georgia Southern, but the former dean is now at Mercer, so he's very familiar with it, and their program is familiar with it as well. What's the goal? The goal of interns as teachers is just that, to provide quality education to our students by collaboratively identifying, developing, and hiring high-performing interns as teachers while they complete
their last year of college of their teacher preparation program. So basically, we will be hiring the high-performing seniors in the education programs at the college. We'll get them before they ever get out on the field to even meet another school. So we'll bring those high-performing seniors into Twiggs County, hire them in our classrooms as interns, develop them for the year, and in the month of January, February, when we offer contracts, we're going to offer them a contract to join our teaching staff once they graduate from college. This will help us to fulfill our hiring needs. This will also be available to all of our schools. The only interns that we wouldn't be able to hire are in the area of special ed, ESOL, and GIFT. The state of Georgia requires them to be fully certified, to be teachers of record in those classes. I developed this program in 2018 along with university partners at that time, some different university partners, including West Georgia, including Georgia Tech. We didn't hire an intern from Georgia Tech, but they were on our planning team. And DOE officials, the Deputy Superintendent for Teaching and Learning for the state, USG officials who govern all of the colleges in the state, and the colleges and universities that we partnered with, so that we could iron out what would be the recommendation process to get the interns, and what will we need to do in order to meet our requirements for our strategic waiver and our CPI reports. These are the benefits. These interns, again, will be prepared to become teachers right here in Twiggs County in a year-long internship in our classrooms. These interns will receive intensive coaching and mentoring from a Twiggs County master teacher. And I used as an example last week, Miss Oates. She would become a master teacher, and we'd assign her 2 interns to work with. We would pay Miss Oates an additional $5,000 stipend because now her work will be to collaboratively develop with the university this intern in their last year as a teacher. And that intern will be paid an internship of $20,000 annually. This is cost neutral. No extra money is spent from the school district because we will potentially put that intern into a classroom that had a vacancy. So we already have state funds for that particular classroom in our FTE. So we would pay those 2 interns from the income that we are already earning for that vacancy. This intern at the end of the year will be hired as a Twiggs County public school teacher, and we would also, this is the incentive for them, they earn a year's credit on the retirement system in TRS, and they would earn a year's step in the teacher salary scale. At the end of the year, they'd actually come to us as though they've already been a teacher for the full year. In fact, they would have already been. And again, our vacancies can be filled with these high-performing trained interns. Here's the model. Just imagine that top box being Miss Oates' classroom. We would hire an intern and put in her classroom. And imagine the box up under it is a vacancy. Maybe a vacancy where we have a proximity teacher. Follow me? Maybe a vacancy for where a proximity teacher is. We would hire the intern, move the proximity teacher out, and we put the intern in that classroom. Now Miss Oates' job is to work in between both of those classrooms. Teach them everything she knows. Every trick of the trade she's learned for, somebody told me, almost 30 years. I think I said 20 last time. But her job is to get them ready, to give them every trick of the trade. They are already high performing. The deans handpick these interns. We make the MOU say that you are going to commit to give us your very best. That's what the MOU says. If you give us your very best, we'll give them a paid internship, which normally they would get a 0 clinical. They will get $0. But we'll put them in the classroom. We'll give them a $20,000 stipend. We'll give them a master teacher for the full year, co-develop them, and at the end of the year, we're going to offer them a contract to stay in our school. And 98% of the interns that we've hired since 2018 are still in the district that they were interns, including Bibb. We only lost one in Bibb County. We lost that person to St. Simon's Island, a little elementary school right off the beach. I just couldn't compete with Mother Nature. So I lost her. But those interns are still in place. So we run that program. The role of the intern is to listen to the master teacher, listen to their university professor, and learn. That's their job. To develop lesson plans with that master teacher, to learn the different instructional strategies, work with that master teacher when they're having parent meetings, when they're working with IEPs, learn from the master teacher. That's what their role is to teach that class, be the teacher of record, but to listen, to learn, to get these strategies that this master teacher is going to provide them. We will evaluate them just like we do with all of our teachers, with the Teacher Keys instrument. And the university will evaluate them with the intern instrument as well. So they'll get feedback from us, and they'll get feedback to develop them from the university. The role of the master teacher is they'll be released from teacher of record, because the teacher of record now is the intern. So they'll be released from teacher of record because they're going to go, Ms. Oates, for example, is going to work with the teacher, the intern in her room, and she's going to work with the intern in the other classroom. And that's her job all day, is to make those two classrooms high-performing just like hers. She already has a high-performing intern that the dean says, all this person is doing is jumping through hoops at this point. They can take over a classroom right now. They're just jumping through hoops to get their degree. They really are ready to teach right now. That's the level that those interns come to us. So Ms. Oak's job is to teach them the Twiggs way. Teach them the Twiggs way. And to give them the benefit of her almost 30 years of experience. She's going to teach them how to teach. She's going to teach them how to work with parents. She's going to teach them how to build a relationship with kids, how to teach them how to assess, everything that she's learned and that she knows. She's going to pass that on because we want to duplicate Miss Oates. Now, I don't know if you all have ever had someone that was a bad mentor, because now you have duplicated bad practices. You hear what I'm saying to you? We don't want to duplicate bad practice. We want to hand pick our master teachers because we want to duplicate that person. So that's why it is important when you look at the testimonies. The testimonies say the master teacher who knows the culture and is the highest performer in your school, that's the best one to be the master teacher. Sometimes we think it's the person with the highest degree. Not so. No. We want the person who knows our culture, who knows how to build a relationship with our parents, who know how to build a relationship with our kids. That's who I want as the master teacher, because I want to duplicate that person, if that makes sense, okay? So that's what Miss Oakes would do. She would help us reduplicate her. So at the end of the year, we got Miss Oakes, and we got 2 mini Miss Oakes. Now we can use them across the district, place them where we need to. Does that make sense? Hope I'm making sense. Here's some testimonies, and then I'll make my recommendation. Some of the testimonies: interns are cooperative, coachable, willing to learn. Interns enjoy the different learning strategies and visiting other classrooms. And the master teacher who knows the culture of the school will be the best prepared to support the intern. And I think one of the professors stated that. Here's some of the accolades of the Interns as Teachers program. It won the Platinum Award of Excellence in 2019 at the GASPA conference. I was asked by the Department of Education to join them and present at the national conference, the National ESSA conference in Kansas City, Missouri in 2019, and it as a promising practice. And in 2018, we presented at the Gale conference as a collaborative approach to recruit, prepare and retain teachers. And the program has already been adopted through many districts across the state. Are there any questions about the interns as teachers program?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is your date of implementation?
This is the first thing we'll do. With your approval of the program, myself and Ms. Timms will set up meetings to go to those universities and meet with their professors, let them know that we've established a new program in Tweed. We are looking for great interns. And I'm going to take those 5 vacancies that we have. These are the 5 vacancies that we have. I'm looking for somebody who's trying to be certified in biology, somebody who's trying to be certified in English, somebody who's trying to be certified in math, I think a K-5. Those are who I'm looking for. Do you have a great, high-performing intern who are working on certification in those areas? We'll do that with all 8 of those colleges. Typically, we'll get recommendations from half of them. We'll interview the interns. We'll determine which ones we think are the best fit for us. Okay? We'll interview them. We won't have a place to put them all. Because, again, this is cost neutral for us. This is the money in that vacancy that's going to pay the stipend. Does that make sense? Okay. So we'll interview them, and we'll pick the one that we think is the best fit. Then we'll also we have a application for master teacher. So we'll send the application out to all of the teachers who want to become master teachers. And with the principal feedback, Dr. Griffin Stewart, we'll interview those teachers and see who is best as we consider to be our master teacher. Because again, we want to duplicate whoever this person is. So once we do that, we'll hire the intern. They'll fill out an application. We'll hire the intern. We'll do the school has already done background check. But we're going to do another. We'll do a background check. We'll hire the interns for the master teacher's classroom, and we'll hire the intern for the vacancy. Let them start meeting. Then at that point, what we do is we'll establish a month-to-month schedule. We'll put that teacher in the classroom. That lesson plan, that's, for example, in Ms. Oates' classroom, she'll now work with that other intern to develop lesson plans. That's her job, is to make both of those classrooms run just as high-performing as hers. So it literally can happen in 2 weeks, literally. It takes a minute, to meet all the colleges and to go to their faculty meetings and meet them. But once we meet them, typically within a couple of days, they'll send us names of interns. It takes a little while for us to do the onboarding process, get the teachers and the master teachers in place. That'll take a bit. Literally, it can take about 2 weeks to get it started. If we have proximity in the room, we're going to take proximity out. We'll do that transition, take proximity out, and then put the intern in and let them. We'll do this, just like we did open house. We want the parents to meet the interns. We'll set up a night where they can meet them virtually or come meet them face to face so that everybody knows who's going to be the new teacher. And we'll get started. We'll meet with them month to month. Master teachers start working with them. We'll start our evaluation schedule. We'll be on the road. It takes about 2 weeks.
Second question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, with the $20,000, now how would that work since it's not actually considered a full year? Would you adjust that or?
With the intern?
Yes.
They're going to work every day.
No, I'm just saying, like, for instance, they may be able to not start till November 1st.
Oh, yes,
So
yes,
I'm-
ma'am.
so I'm
Yes, ma'am,
asking
I got
about
you.
that.
I got you. Oh, I got it. I understand your question.
Okay.
Okay. The $20,000 is for the full school year. So it'll be prorated from wherever they
Okay.
start. Yes, I got you.
Thank you.
It'll be prorated from where they start.
Also for the master teacher before it.
Well, let me back up. Not the master teacher stipend. They'll get the $5,000. Yeah, they're going to get it. So it's the intern. If they weren't here, let's say we hired an intern in October. we're gonna start in October. That $20,000 typically plays out to be about $1,700 a month. They won't get that first. So, and they don't have to get taxes. They do get taxes taken out of it. They don't have to get benefits. Most of these seniors are still on their parents' benefits. So, but they can if they want to. If they want us to take out benefits, we will, but we don't have to. The master teacher, they will get.
Thank you for that great question,
It was a
Mr.
great question.
Rouse, and then also Ms. King. Great questions. To add to that $5,000 stipend, because you normally wouldn't prorate that, there are some other responsibilities that would be expected along with being that master teacher, other than just jumping from class to class. Say, for instance, if you ask that master teacher to take a visit to Fort Valley State, the Fort Valley State and Savannah State and Georgia Southern University, to do a small presentation on recruitment, that master teacher may still get some travel fee, but she would be expected at some point to have some possible out of the classroom trainings to attend to further engage that master teacher quality that he or she already has. Also, you deeming that master teacher, that title, comes with that. So if we didn't enroll but one teacher that year within that program, that master teacher still gets that $5,000 supplement.
They would. And they would do all of that. We would assign them to the very next cohort of the coaching training for Middle Georgia RESA, so they will be responsible for being, that's an after-school thing they would have to do. We're going to expect them to get the coaching training for Middle Georgia RESA. I'll do all of the initial introduction. Like I said, these colleges already know about the program, but they do want to meet. They say, who we releasing our kids to? So they do want to meet them.
And what is that training specific to RESA?
What is it? It's a coaching endorsement. Yes. So we will, get, once we identify who those master teachers are, we will want them to be introduced to the faculties of those colleges, because they ask, they say, who's the master teacher? We'd love to meet the master teacher that we're going to release our kids to. Just like we do, we get possessive over our students, and they get possessive over theirs. So they want to know, who we're going to put them in the classroom.
In business agenda item B, C, and D, you named and listed a few people that would be in these processes. One of the ones that you did not name was principal buy-in to the services, not necessarily the service per se, as we're doing that tonight.
Yeah.
However, when do we get principal input? Is there a survey? Is there a small interview that a substitute? Because who best to see if a substitute or a teacher fits the culture? Because substitutes may be a long-term sub, and that has an impact on our climate and our culture. The second part of that is TEKS evaluations. Who would perform the TEKS evaluations for proximity and for your interns as teachers?
Absolutely. The interns, I'll start there. Principals do the initial interview for the interns. And we just schedule it around the principal's schedule and the student's class schedule. With proximity learning, we really haven't had a principal interview set up. I'm sorry, with Kelly. Is that what you're asking, Kelly, or proximity?
For
Proximity.
which question?
Principal input.
Correct. All three.
With proximity learning, once we identify, they'll send us a list of teachers from proximity that has that content. And again, we get to talk with them, meet them virtually, vet them, talk about, they'll give us their background, they give us a resume where they've taught, et cetera. And we'll get to choose which one we want. They have lots of teachers in different content areas. So the principal will be a part of that selection process as well. It'll be the principal, it'll be Dr. Griffin Stewart primarily. Maybe even a department chair who can help to select a proximity learning teacher. Typically, when we did it in Bibb County, it was just the principal. We can improve it.
Mhm. Thank you. Let me ask you, how does this master teacher work alongside your academic coaches?
Absolutely. The interns, again, they become teacher of record. So all of the professional learning that the academic coach prepares for all of the other teachers, the interns participates with it as well.
Your master teacher. How does
master
your
teacher-
master teacher interact with your coaches?
They do the very same thing. If the intern goes to, let's say, a differentiation training conducted by the academic coach. Now that master teacher brings that intern back and said, okay, what questions do you have about differentiation? Let's look at our classroom and let's section our classroom out. How would we section our classroom out with differentiation? They actually make it more personalized for that intern, and that actually happens. And sometimes an intern can't see it. They know the words, but they have not really seen it. So sometimes that master teacher says, for example, let's use Mr. Moran. Ms. Moran is great at doing this strategy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take over class today, second period, and you go and watch Mr. Moran. He's going to be doing the very strategies that we talked about in that professional learning. So when you come back in our planning time, we're going to talk about learning and how we're going to implement what you learn into the classroom. That's how the master teacher works with the PD that's going on in the school. And the academic.
Perfect. So our modeling will
Yes.
be uniform throughout the district. So our academic coach and our master teacher are on
Working
one
hand in
accord.
hand with that intern.
Absolutely. Thank you. Board members, do you have any more questions for Dr. Bullard? All right, there are no other questions. Dr. Bullard, what is your recommendation?
I'm asking the board tonight to approve the interns as teachers program being implemented in Twiggs County Public Schools. We'll begin immediately contacting the 8 universities that are listed in the presentation, let them know that we now have the program in place, and we'll begin to ask them to identify interns to place in our school.
Board, you've heard the superintendent's recommendations. What's your pleasure?
So move.
Motion's been properly made to accept the superintendent's recommendation of approval of interns as teachers. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. King. Any discussion? No discussion. I know you by saying aye. Raise your hand if you approve this motion. Any opposes? No opposes. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Bullard.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I
We're
want to
excited about that.
say early welcome to those eager educators who will be joining our team.
Absolutely.
At this time, business agenda item E, district request. This is an action item being presented by our superintendent, Dr. Matt Bullard.
We have several fundraiser activities that have been requested for your approval, board members, and one field trip. On October the 8th, we have a field trip request from Ms. Erica Williams, Ms. Bryant, Ms. Fricks, Ms. Wiley to the Georgia National Fair. And this is for our programs for exceptional students, the transition in life skills, a field trip that they're asking your approval. That field trip will be from 8:45 in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon. Also, several fundraisers are being requested in preparation for some state conventions that particularly our Junior Beta Club wants to participate in. They have been, thought of quite a few fundraising activities to help raise money for their state conventions, T-shirts, registration costs, etc. The kids really want to help be self-serving and self-sufficient in getting to their state convention. So here in August, they want to do a slushy sale. That slushy sale will be after school, and they want to do that slushy sale to help, again, raise funds for their state convention, registration, and T-shirts. And that their advisors are Ms. Kilgore and Ms. Oates. In September, from September the 6th through 24th, they want to begin selling that world's finest chocolate and do a chocolate sale to the community, to family members, etc. And they'll sell that chocolate from September the 6th through the 24th. And again, it's to raise money for their state convention. They also want to have a cookie dough sale as well. And this cookie dough sale, this is from the Program for Exceptional Children. They want to have a cookie dough sale that'll begin September the 13th through the 30th. And that cookie dough sale will be for the Beyond Community-Based Instruction. And Ms. Williams is the sponsor for this particular group. They want to sell cookie dough to family members, etc., in order to help pay for trips for the community-based instruction and the end-of-year activities for her students. In October, Ms. Kilgore and Ms. Oates have also requested to sell coupons for donuts for Krispy Kremes in the month of October, and they'll deliver those donuts at the end of coupon sales. Also, homecoming week, they want to be able to sell stickers and beads and light up jewelry, etc., for everybody for homecoming to help raise money, as well for their state convention and other activities. In November, they want to have an after-school popcorn sale as well at the end of the day and sell popcorn to students, again, raise money for they're going to raise money for a nursing home project that the students want to participate in around the holidays. And in February, they would like to have approved the Valentine's Day Hearts and Sweethearts photo sale. And again, that's for their end-of-year celebrations and their field trip for the Junior Beta Club in the middle school. Those are the fundraising requests and the one field trip request for this month. We ask for your approval for those.
Thank you, Dr. Bullard. I want to commend this team, Junior Beta Club advisors, for actually putting together a plan of execution for fundraising. This is how the board would like to see all of our departments present their plans in advance so that it does not look as if we're just popping out ideas. And sometimes they're great ideas. Sometimes they just don't allow us enough time to consider the ask. So I want to tell Dr. Kilgore and Ms. Oates that this is a great looking opportunity to raise funds for Beta. And there is one that I want to further discuss. Hasn't anything to do with approval, but it does mention homecoming. And that is a conversation that I'd like for us to have as well, board, tonight. Board members, you heard the superintendent's recommendation. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I would like to motion that we approve the field trip and the fundraisers.
Motion has been properly made by Madam District 3, Ms. Rhonda King. May I have a second? Seconded by Vice Chair Mr. Rouse, District 1. Is there any discussion? Should there be no discussion, I know you by saying aye. Raise your hand if you approve this motion.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposes? No opposes. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Bullard.
You're welcome.
Board members, do you have any questions or concerns about anything that we have approved, modified, accepted, did not accept tonight before we dismiss from public session? All right. Dr. Bullard, have I exhausted the business agenda for tonight's meeting?
Mr. Chair, you have covered all of the business agenda items for tonight.
All right, I thank you. At this time, board, may I have a motion to exit our public session and enter into executive session?
So move.
Motion's been properly made by Ms. Blackshear, State District 2 Representative. May I have a second? Seconded by Vice Chair, District 1. Any discussion? Should there be no discussion, I know you by saying aye. Raise your hand if you approve the motion. This motion again is to exit public session and enter to executive session. Any opposes? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you to our online viewers as well as our faculty and staff who have shared this evening with us. We hope not to deliberate long, but thank you again. Board members, we are now in executive session. Good evening again, stakeholders, faculty, and staff here with us in person and online. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to exit executive session and enter into public session.
I'll make that motion.
Motion was properly made by Ms. Stokes. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. King. Any discussion? There should be no discussion. I know you by saying aye, raising your hand if you approve this motion. Aye. Any opposes? No opposes. That motion carries unanimously. Board members, we're now back into public session. Thank you, Dr. Bullock, for a thorough executive session, along with our legal counsel, Jones Court of Macon, Georgia. Thank you so much for discussion of personnel matters. At this time, I want to introduce to you our superintendent's recommendations for new hire and resignation. I'll take these one at a time, board. This time I want to present to you the superintendent's recommendation for CID 6574 for new hire. Board, what is your pleasure?
So move.
Motion has been properly made by Ms. Blackshear to accept the superintendent's recommendation for new hire of CID 6574. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Rouse. Any discussion? No discussion? I know you by saying aye or raising your hand if you approve this motion. Aye. Any opposes? No opposes. That motion carries unanimously. Well, we have successfully accepted the superintendent's recommendation for new hire, CID 6574. At this time, I want to entertain a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation for acceptance of resignation for EID 3352. Board, what is your pleasure?
So move.
Motion has been properly made by Ms. Blackshear. May I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Rouse. Any discussion? No discussion. I know you by saying aye. Raise your hand if you approve this motion. Aye. Any opposes? No opposes. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That exhausts the superintendent recommendation for tonight for personnel matters. At this time, board, I want to entertain an amendment to our 2021 board meeting calendar. On our calendar, our next scheduled regular session board meeting is listed on our website as well as in our documents as August 24th. We want to amend that calendar tonight and change August 24th to August 31st. Should there be any discussion? All right, again, this motion that I'm presenting tonight is to amend our approved board meeting calendar with the amendment of August 24th meeting to become the August 31st meeting. There be no discussion. Board, what is your pleasure?
I make that motion.
Motion been properly made by Mr. Rouse, our vice chair, to accept the amendment for our 2021 BOE meeting calendar. The dates of August 24th to August 31st. Should there be a second?
I second.
5:30. Seconded by Ms. King. Any discussion? No discussion. I know you by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Any opposes? No opposes. That motion carries unanimously. That motion again was to amend our BOE 2021 meeting calendar for August 31st at 5:30 in the evening. All right. Dr. Bullard, have I overlooked anything that we needed to address tonight? Have we successfully exhausted our agenda as well as our personnel recommendations?
Mr. Chair, we have successfully concluded the personnel recommendations and exhausted the agenda for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Bullock. Board members, are you confident in our meeting tonight and we have successfully done the business presented to us? All right, board, on one accord. Thank you so very much. Listen, without further ado, may I entertain a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Stokes. Motion was probably made by Ms. Shirley Stokes to adjourn tonight's meeting. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by District 3, Ms. King. Any discussion? Should there be no discussion? I know you by saying aye. Raise your hand if you approve this motion. Aye. Any opposes? No opposes. Thank you. We are now adjourned. Good night, Tweaks County.